Hi guys, Daryl here from Australian Off-Road. We'll just talk a little bit about our Quantum Plus today. So this is just a general overview more than anything. As you can see here, I've already pre-opened a couple of items, but the outside here we have our full pantry, which is easily accessible. It's the same as what we've shown on some of the other models as well. Quantum full height, the Quantum is the same. Kitchen-wise, on the outside, just a quick slide out, just to give you an idea of that side. Because I've opened that pantry, I do need to have that shut to open up the kitchen itself. Bracket will come off there, onto the side. Unlatch the two latches, front and rear, up and over, and the bench is now out, ready to utilise on that side. We have our 3-burner cooker again. We have our sink, hot and cold water as well. Piezo ignition on the cooker. To make that work, on the back of the cooker there, we do have our hose, our gas hose at the back there. And I'll just lift that back over just so we can see there on the camera. That would normally, we'll take the dust cover out, we'd connect that in there, the bayonet fitting in there to make the gas be able to be ignited on the cooker on the outside here. The other one is on the bottom of the kitchen, and we won't show, there is a hose on this end of the kitchen there that you'll drop off to empty the sink out into a bucket or whatever each time. Also here, we've got our slide out fridge and storage area. So it'll come out and it'll drop into place and lock itself there so it can't go back in. We have a large storage box on one end there. We also have our fridge freezer, which is 82 litres capacity here. Fridge one end, freezer on the other end. Main controls is on here. Our main power switch is all on the inside on the red vision inside there. Just a quick pack up of these, back together. Lock down, lock these down as well. Critical that these are locked down, relevant to the window and the lights off there. Take the bracket off. You'll notice on this particular trailer that this customer has optioned up as well to have the stone guard on the outside. You just notice I've got a little bit of a trouble there, and that's because the hose is just hanging down slightly at the back. So you can see I couldn't push it in if the hose isn't where it needs to be located properly. Back in, and then we can close it all up, seal it back off. We're ready to travel again with that side. Also, you'll notice on the outside here, we got a 240 volt power point. We also have an inverter power point, 240 for each. We have a TV aerial outlet, and we also have a 12 volts cigarette lighter socket, I suppose is a better way of wording it. Power outlet there as well. So if you have that bench out, you could have a TV and the lights I've set up there. This customer's optioned up, obviously, with alloy wheels, and they've also gone different tyres. They've above standard. So our standard setup there is a 17-inch tyre. It's a steel rim with a Cooper AT3 tyre on the rim, is what we have there as a standard setup. Making our way around the front here, we still have the same as our other models. We've got a manual outlet there for our black water tap on the front. All these items are standard that we're able to see there. Jerry cans, jerry can holders. This particular customer, as I said, they've optioned up for the stone guard on the bottom half of the trailer to give that two-tone colouring. Otherwise, the standard colouring is the all one-tone dove grey colour, not the two-tone charcoal dove grey. They've also optioned on the front here, you might notice they've got a secondary gas bayonet as well, which is an option a lot of people do put here for the front on the drawbar for their Webbers, Ziggy and Browns, those sort of things. You'll notice here the diesel tank there for our diesel heater. These are all standard items, so anything that's non-standard I will highlight. But all of these items that you're seeing on here are standard at the moment. You'll also notice on the front here now that we have 2 Anderson plugs. One is our solar input and one is a power output, so that's a 50 amp outlet there to be able to run a secondary fridge or anything, or give power back to the fridge in the back of your vehicle. Wastewater out through the macerator pump. Our macerator pump is actually located underneath the checker plate here. That then macerates through the toilet when you use the toilet, but then also out through a secondary macerator when we pump out. So that way we're basically a liquid's coming out. A little bit on the dirty side, but it gives us an indication on how that works. So our outlets are located there, DO35 hitch standard, Anderson plugs in our 12-pin plug for our back of our vehicle, Jockey wheel is standard here as well. Does have a removable handle. A lot of people think that that's silly with a handle, but that is removable. The whole thing is adjustable as well. Jerry can, as I said there before, stone guard, that's all standard as well. We've also got the brackets on here that we haven't mentioned before. These brackets are relevant for the stone stomper. So a lot of people will option for a stone stomper. For those that don't know what a stone stomper is, just to give a bit of a heads up, it is a matting that goes underneath the drawbar to the back of the vehicle to help with the stones down under the vehicle instead of coming up and potentially doing some damage. So these all come standard, all the vans come standard with those brackets now. Moving around to this side, we have our storage areas, our two 4.5 kilo cylinders there obviously. The second door here is our storage drawer, and as you can see it's quite a generous drawer. It does go back inside there a little way as well. This particular one's got a couple of little options in there, extras in there, but you can see that we supply all our black hose and extension of our solar input lead for our portable solar panel on the front socket that we just mentioned. We have a full spares kit, so the spares kit has a wheel bearing kit, spare fuses, a couple of shackles and reflectors and all those sort of things that potentially could get damaged. Bag for pegs, bag for ropes, you've got your ground sheet there as well. These guys have got some awning arm covers, but the other one is your wheel brace, the handle there for the drop down legs and that as well, which is located on each corner externally. So that's that storage drawer. This storage drawer here is actually, or storage area, is an open storage area or can have an additional shelf put in there as an option. This is where if you were to option for air conditioning, you lose that storage area. So just keep that in mind that that area is quite a large area, as you can see. But if you were to option up for air conditioning, you do utilise that. It's all gone completely. Our hot water cover here, it's just a standard, the same as on all models, just got the cover over the vent, that's got to be open, that'd sit in there when we're operational with it there. And then we're on to our two, I'll just close that back up again, so out of the way. The cover is also to do with our dust proofing, so all the doors have got a compression lock, you'll notice on them as well, so that keeps where we can say that we are 100% dust proof. Front and rear water tanks, this is our fill points. They're not mains pressure, they are that you do have to fill the water tanks, you then utilise the water out of that tank for your water internally for your shower, also for your cooking or your drinking, all that sort of thing. Just one thing I didn't mention there, underneath here we do have on all our vans, located up underneath is our river access system. So the river access system allows us to pump out of a creek, a bucket, you know, wherever we might be located, bypass our tanks. It still runs through the same lines as the standard, but it can run through and feed into our shower on its own. So can get a little bit longer water life effectively out of that. And there's options again on that way we can change as well. Underneath here, which we don't see right up the back, is our rear water tank. We do have a couple of outlets here. So this particular one, this is for the grey water outlet by the looks of this one. The one at the back there is our drain for our water tank itself that I'm pointing to there. And then on the side over here, we actually have a couple of outlets, which is where we do our flushing to flush our toilet line and also flush back into the grey water tank to clean out those tanks when we go to do our cleaning process. Okay, so these customers have optioned up for two extras on the rear bar. The rear bar as standard is normally just got your spare wheel located on here. These guys have optioned up to have two jerry can holders, as you can see, one on either side, we balance out. But they've also optioned up for the rear camera mount. The advantage of that is that in later date, if they want to fit a reversing camera, the pole and the mount is already there. We've also got a draw wire run through into the chassis rail as well. So it's only a matter of pulling the wire through, hooking up to the camera on there, and set away you go basically, apart from hooking up to your vehicle as well. So there are options, those two jerry can holders and the rear camera mount there. The rest of it's standard. The underside here, you will notice just here, and I'll just reach through and undo that, or haven't undone that one as yet, but this is our additional shower, our external shower. So we've got hot and cold water on the back here as well. And we do supply the shower rows there with it and a length of hose that I think is about 1.5 metre, metre and a half long as well. So no cubicle, but just enough to rinse off during the day or anything like that. Okay, So on the inside now, the Quantum Plus, just to talk a little bit about the layout, and this particular van, as I've said before, has got a few options put into it. But we'll start here with the shower wise, shower toilet. So there is a little locating lock on the top here for travel wise, and then we'll open the door and we'll come inside to the shower and toilet. It's a combination unit, macerator toilet. For those uncertain on a macerator is we do our business, and the macerator, we press the button as we do at home as normal. Inside you'll notice you got the standard flick mixer there as well. There's no shower pole. We used to have a shower pole. We don't do a shower pole anymore. People used to forget a couple of things to put the shower pole down. The roof comes down, does some damage to the shower pole and the wall obviously, so we've eliminated that out of there. And a lot of customers advised us that they didn't use the shower pole, so hence to say we don't put those in anymore, more of a safety thing. You do have an internal clothesline there as well. All the lighting throughout the internal here is all swivel lighting, and they're all individually switched as well, so we can turn those off individually where needed on that side, so all through the internal here. And then you've got the main master switch as well. Standard setup here at the rear, as you can see, there's nothing out of the ordinary on this particular one. So you've got your standard sink, your drawers, internal drawers. You've got a dual power point here at the back, which is auto switching. So this will change between 240 volt and the inverter. When the inverters turn on, you just put the appliance into the power point and turn that on, and it'll start operating. We have a 12 volt socket, and we also have a dual USB socket here as well. Also an aerial outlet here, so put the TV onto the bench here, plug in your aerial, and away you go on that side. Radio player, I'm just going to step back out of the way here. So the radio player here is Bluetooth, CD player, USB, all combined in the one unit. We got a little button at the top here, it'll flick open so we can put our CDs and that sort of thing into as well. So it is AM, FM as well, I didn't mention that. Just a quick one while we're in here as well. You might notice on the floor, the flooring is our standard colour. The benches at the back here is our standard colour. The colour options can change in all our vans, all our trailers, is our bench tops. So that is a pure mineral stone bench top. A little bit hard with the lighting there. You might see shades, different shading through it, but it is because of the LED light located up underneath there as well. You can see that change there. The other change inside here, this particular one, we have the grey interior, so the pelmet around the edge of the pop top here is grey. That goes relevant to our roof material as well. The roof felt is the same colour, but where that all comes from is to do with our seating on the bottom of the seat bases. So our seat bases there, you'll notice on this one, they do have the slate grey option. They have selected, this customer selected above standard to go with the leather seats internally. So normally your standard option is a fabric seat, not a leather seat. And they've gone obviously the grey colour in there as well to suit. So if we have a grey seat base, we'll have a grey felt and a grey roof. If we have a mocha seat base, we'll have a light brown mocha colour felt for the roof and the pelmet area there as well. The one thing here to mention, the seat in the Quantum Plus is this particular one is able to be removed. This is all storage underneath. So I'll just do it a quick, easy way. I'm just going to lift up the Velcro side, quite well held. And I'll just throw that up onto the bed, literally out of the way. A little bit of noise there. But that gives you an idea of the storage space. Quite a large storage space underneath there. So larger, bulkier items gives you plenty of room on that side. There is options with this seat as well. That we can go a half seat, half cabinet with drawers, a drawer or two drawers. A lot of people option it for this way because then you've got two lounge areas effectively. And also with this, you don't have to remove the seat with that each time to access inside. These are a drop down door. There's one here and another one at the other end as well. So a lot of storage area. You'll notice also underneath the bed there that you do have another 3 drawers there for storage as well, which we'll open up one of those in a second. I'm just moving out of the way there, closing them up. So quite a generous, and I'll just get up out of the way, generous drawer that you can see there. All 3 drawers are identical in size as well. You'll notice with the locks as well, these are a travel lock, so now we can't pull open that drawer when that's in. The drawers won't work their way open when travelling or anything as well with that. In particular with this one, We'll pop the seats out to show where all our fuses and all our main electrics are, but we'll drop the table. What I'll do, I'll just put this seat back. It's quite quick and easy. Into place. So now what I need to do is remove the table. Normally in the travelling position, that's how it would sit. So what we need to do to remove the table is basically push those down. That allows that back end of the table to lift off that bar. But the part that we need to also separate is off the pole itself there. So I'll just lift that up. I've pulled that away from it. Up on the bed, pole can come out. These don't have specific one end to the other. These are a tapered end, so they can go in either end there. After travelling, it is quite tight. Sometimes you'll lift the table and the pole will come with the table. That's fine. You can just twist that and take that out if you need to. So pulling these out of the way. This particular seat has our hot water system located in the back there. It has our 2 water filters located here. So that's our water from our water tanks is run through from the pump, through the filters and then back out to the kitchen sink or into the shower on its own. Excuse me. You'll also notice on the outside we have this large black dial here. This is our safety side of things with our 240 volt. Our 12 volt electrical side with they're a standard like household safety throw out switch. So they will potentially on a rough corrugated road, potholed road, there is the potential for those to trip out and then you'll go and plug in your 240 volt and you won't be able to access the power because you'll be going, where's my power? They potentially have tripped out. So just a matter of the same as what you do at home, flick them back in and they're working again. So they're a fusible link in another word, I suppose. Go to there. Inside of here, this is our changeover point. So this is relevant to our front tank, to our back tank. So this is where we change when we run down a tank, which is predominantly you'll always run down the back tank first because we'll draw out of that for the shower and toilet and that side. So you'll have that one open, the other one will be shut off. So we'll draw everything out of that and then we open up the other one and we can draw through. The inside there's another 240 volt power point. That's relevant to our battery management system on board. So that's if we plug in our 240 volt power, it's got to be working so that we can get the charger to work as well. All right, yeah. The one that I like to call the money box, this seat here is generally where, if you've optioned up to go for lithium batteries, as these customers have, this is where the money is in this side. So effectively what you're looking at inside here, we have our diesel heater located down the bottom here. We have this customer has in particular upgraded to 150 ampere lithium batteries each, so they've got 300 amps of lithium batteries, as you can see in 2 batteries. So they're a bigger battery than standard, but give us a bigger ampere out of those. We've also got here our battery management system on the side. Some relevant hoses and fuses, which is all about our water tanks and our waste going through the floor, back outside to the tanks and that side. But one of the big points is about our fuse boxes that you can see here. They're 4 fuses, and there's another smaller fuse down the bottom there. So I think Luke brushed on this once before, but very similar. They're all laid out very, very similar on that side. So one is what we call our 12 volt supply, the other one is a 24-hour supply. So the 24-hour supply is the ones where we want power to all the time, to our fridges, to our toilet, that sort of thing, where we need to be able to just press those without turning the main switch on. So they're the ones located down the bottom. The top ones are the relevance of all our other little bits and pieces. So, power to our 12 volt sockets or to the radio, those sort of things where you turn them on intermittently as you need to use them. That's the circuits for those. So everything is labelled all the way through there on all the fuse boxes. And that's pretty well, in a nutshell, that section there with both seats. This is an area where it's pretty well maintenance free. The only thing that you will check inside here from time to time is obviously, you know, you've done a lot of travelling or whatever, is to just go through and just make sure the battery clamp is secure. just give the leads a bit of a jiggle and make sure the leads are secure, that nothing has worked loose in some way or form. Or the last time you had somebody do some work to it, you know, you might have had the van for a couple of years and you potentially might change batteries over for some other reason. Someone mightn't have tightened up a lead properly. So we need to check those things periodically and make sure that they're in obviously secure and well looked after. But apart from that, these other areas are maintenance free. The water filters was one where you will go to, I think they're good for about 10,000 litres before they need to be replaced. But again, that comes down to everybody's individual taste and that sort of thing with that. Hot water system, self-explanatory. Don't have to do much with that. There is a valve on the bottom. We go into that a little bit more to drain the water out if it was going into storage or something like that. But otherwise, it's maintenance free on all these areas. Now, I'll put all this back together again. Table back on, as I said, nice and easy, drop that back into place. And then the easiest way, those two go back on there, locate the pole to the table, done. Lock back into place, that table won't move. If I lift this front edge up, it will pivot up, but transit-wise, we can leave that secure, we don't have to pack that down. Another point while we're here, we'll just talk a little bit about these windows and the screens and the likes of. So, all the windows are the same, so you'll notice I'm only using one hand. Ultimately, you do want to use two hands on the two tabs. The one hand there is in the middle, not off to the side. It is Midgie screen on every window as well, and that goes for the pop-top version with the fly screens up the top there as well, same sort of screen. The bottom half, and I will pull this up both hands, is our blind. I can join both of those together and they do release from each other, so it gives you your privacy, still have your airflow. The big one with the windows is a couple of stages with these. Now all these have a little grey button that need to be depressed while I turn the lever of each one of these. So you'll see there, I'll press that, turn the lever. If I don't, and I'll just reach over there, you might see, I won't be able to pull that up. If I do keep forcing it, I will break that little grey button. So be mindful, depress the button and pull the lever. Whoops, pushing on there. Window opens into 3 stages. You'll hear a click at each point, so it's just click the once. There's the second one, and then we'll open it up to the third, so there's quite a lot of room there for ventilation wise. At any point, I can just lift that up past those clicks and bring that back in. This part of the window is where it needs to be a little bit more critical. When you go to shut your window, always do your center one first, is the easiest I've found over time now. Bring that right in and it'll click there. If I don't pull on that particular one, I could put that into that spot. It's clicked the same. That window is not closed anywhere there. I could get my fingers down there. So that's in the storage mode that we can still have the window open. If you're traveling, please bring a shovel with you inside, because that will just allow that dust to pour in here and you'll have to shovel it out. So be mindful, always use that center one. The reason why I say the center one is if I start at one end, or even if I put that right fully closed, and then the others I push in between, just inadvertently, not knowing, and I'll pull this one over, that window's got a slight bend in it now. This end's all nice and sealed tight here. That end's still wide open, still got a 5mm gap, so it still will allow dust to come inside. So always be mindful that it's not between the 2 tabs that you can see there, and I'll just quickly flick all those open again, and I'll leave that particular one there, so you can see it's in behind the 2 tabs, or in between the 2 tabs. So it was in that groove, and realistically it needs to come out to the front of that there, so this will come over and behind it there. Now I can do all the rest, they'll fall into place and lock off properly. All the windows down below here are the same window setup. That is a real important point on the dust side of things there. Also, you'll notice inside, I'll just step out of the way, this particular van has 2 fans in here. One is a standard, so our standard placement of our Sirocco fan is on the driver's side wall, is our standard. These guys have optioned it up to put the second one here at the bed end, and it goes on the back of the pantry here as well. And still to say that we can still utilise the 12-volt socket if we need to for charging or anything like that. You'll notice in the background there a couple of things. So firstly, beside the bed, there is the 2 stalk reading lights. That is an option there, these guys have put in. For extra light, reading lights, you do have the 2 lights up above your bed head as standard. They've option for those ones. Speakers are standard. I don't know whether you'll see in the camera there, you might do, I'll just mention it, but beside the bed on either side, standard, we have 2 tie-down points. So they're the silver things down the side of the bed there that you might be able to see there now that Wendy's trying to get to. And then you'll also notice there's a black socket there. These guys have optioned up to go with the socket, which gives you a USB and a 12 volt socket. They've optioned for power up beside the bed as well. And then lastly, you'll notice the cushion on the actual bed there as well. That particular cushion allows us to change this seating area here. If I take that table back out again, and I will do that quickly, just while we've got the chance to do so. So that's out of the way, pole out of the way, and you might notice the lip here on each one of the seats. Okay, so I took the table out and dropped the cushion down there into the position. So what we've allowed now is we've picked up a single bed. We take off the backrests. I've taken the one off here behind me. We can take the one off the back there, and then you can put a sheet on it, that sort of thing. So ideal for families, ideal for grandparents with grandkids. Want to take the grandkids away? Bed there for the grandkids. We also have an option where there can be an additional bunk up here as well, to give that other bed area. Bunk wise, the bunk can be pushed up out of the way during the day, so that it doesn't have to be kept on being pulled apart, remade all the time. So the bunk would sit roughly about this height there now in the overnight position, and then during the day we can sit the bunk up. It sits up on quite an angle up the top there, but you can still access the kitchen, the dinette area underneath here, the seating, or use this as a day lounge or whatever as well. But yeah, nice and quick, easy setup. That is an option though. The bunk is an option as well in these. They're not standard, and it is only available in that configuration that we're talking about, either in the Quantum Plus or in the Matrix pop top.